So I am so delighted to be having a conversation with this beautiful lady. Her name is Wanjiru Macharia, and I have been probably meeting up with her for the last 6 months, maybe. We're in a group together, a group of therapists. And I've been really interested in some of the work that she does. We had a conversation not very long ago about one area of her work, which is to do with autism and Asperger's. But I wanted to just find out a little bit more about some of the other areas of her work today. So how are you, lovely?
I am fine, thank you very much, Jill.
Still surviving. Are the children back to school?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right.
No,
So still homeschooling.
Yes, we are still homeschooling, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's have a look then at some of the other areas that you have, because you do quite a lot, actually. I mean, you're a bit like me, you know, we never just do one thing, do we?
Yeah, no.
So what would you say, other than the autism and Asperger's, what is the kind of next area that you would like to tell us about? Maybe something that you spend a little bit more of your time doing, you know, the next thing that you help people with?
Okay. I do help people with mental health issues. So I work with people who are going through anxiety issues, depression, self-harming, and and also other challenging life events such as bereavement, relationships. So I do therapy for, and counseling for people in that kind of sense, and I also offer Christian counseling.
Okay, so let's just start there, shall we? So just explain to me a little bit about what that's about and why that is a niche area, why it needs to be a niche area. You know, who are the sort of people that would come to you?
The sort of people that would come to me would be people who are practicing and committed Christians, in the sense that sometimes people tend to follow what the Bible guides them to do in life. And sometimes there are things when they are not sure whether the world offers them the best options on how to go about with their issues that they're experiencing. And also it's just sometimes they need some reassurance and guidance on how they can manage and cope with life challenges, because being a Christian doesn't mean that life will be smooth. Being a Christian still, because we live in a world that is full of so many challenges, it means that there will be challenges, but some people want to base their solutions on a Christian way. And also they find it reassuring to find somebody who I am a born again Christian myself, so I am quite familiar with some of these things. So they find reassuring to find somebody who understands where they are coming from. And sometimes people don't want to be seen as if they are weak, because some people think that if you tell people you're a Christian and then you're struggling in life, that that means you're not a strong Christian, or you've done something wrong, that's why things are not working your way. So it's just to reassure them that actually, yes, even as a Christian, things do go wrong, life can be challenging, but there's ways that you can move forward.
Oh, how interesting. So there's this kind of dilemma, I suppose, going on in people's minds and in their, particularly if they are a born again Christian, is that this might be very, very new to them.
Yeah.
They've come out of an old world or an old paradigm into something that's new and unfamiliar, and it's a bit worrying if you think you're getting it wrong, I suppose.
Yes, and sometimes people will either question themselves or question the existence of God or what God does for them. And sometimes it's because when we are in a stressful situation, sometimes we are not able to see things rationally. Yes. So people can be irrational in their thoughts, and then they can make the decision that maybe impact with their life in a negative way. So when they come and during Christian counseling, you try to reassure them and direct them back to the Bible quotes that will redirect them and bring them and strengthen their faith, so that they'll be able to face on the situation they are going through without worrying and thinking, what have I done wrong? Does God really exist for me? And also you can give them biblical examples from what the people in the Bible, they faced the prophets, even Jesus himself. They didn't have a smooth life, but they still managed to get on with life. And, in the end, God was there with them throughout.
Yeah, so the challenge of living any kind of spiritual life, whether it's a Christian life or whether you're a Buddhist or a Jew, whatever,
Yeah.
is actually dovetailing the beliefs of the religion, your beliefs as a spiritual person,
Yes.
what other people are looking at, what you expect of yourself.
Yes.
This, as you say, the spiritual path is never necessarily an easy one, whichever way terminology you use for it. So I kind of get that. But just to be clear, you don't have to be a born again Christian to come and avail yourself of your services.
No. You don't have to. As I say, it's just somebody who believes in God or is seeking solution, because sometimes people can look for solutions in different ways. And no, so there's just somebody who believes there is a God out there, or there's a divine intervention that's out there. So it's anyone who would want to hear any counseling from a Christian perspective. So you don't have to be born again.
No.
No.
And then you did recently do a bereavement course, I understand too.
Yes, I did. And now as I do help with people who have gone through losses, and I've learned quite a lot. And for instance, is sometimes when people lose a loved one, people cope with it in different ways. And sometimes sometimes people want to seek counseling straight away, and sometimes it's not always advisable, in the sense that when somebody has lost a loved one, it takes some time for them to adjust into life without the person they loved and they've lost. So it's sometimes good to understand what the implications are, or with the right time to actually seek counseling. And sometimes it will be between 3 or 6 months after the loss, because when you get the counseling immediately, you can't explain what life is like without the individual that you've lost in your life. But after you spend time without them in your life, that's when you actually realize what it's like to have that gap in your life. And that's the time you would be required, or would be suitable for somebody to seek the help they need. And
so
also,
how would they know, Wanjiru? How would you, if you've lost somebody,
yeah,
how would you know when the best time for you is then?
as a client, or
to seek help, as a client.
It's because when somebody passes away and you've lost somebody, there's a lot of things that needs to be adjusted. So there's you have to find arranging the funeral issues, and trying to do change, whether it's canceling bills or all sorts of things that the person was doing that they're not going to be able to be doing. So people tend to be very busy running around sorting out a lot of things in life. So at that time their mind is quite occupied with different things. So it's when everything seems to be put in place, or all the running around has stopped, and then people settle down to try and move on with their life. And that's when they realize that the weight of the loss now can start sinking in. And that's probably would be the best time, because if you offer somebody counseling when they're still running around doing different things, they're not more likely to get a positive, or what do you call it? They will not benefit from it as such. I think
But there's also that bit where when somebody dies, first of all, people tend, maybe not at the moment physically certainly, but people tend to be much more attentive and aware and help. Your friends and your family are there. But then in my experience, after that initial period, everybody just gets on with their life, which of course they should do. And that's the moment at which you're left alone with your grief. And perhaps then that's the time when perhaps is the best time to reach out for that support.
Yes, and as I say, it's just that time when you're trying to move on, and then everything falls into place, because you kind of, the dynamics of people's life change, because the role of the person who has departed, now you get to see what their role was, and it affects people in different ways.
Yes, of course.
So that would be the best time, after everything else, all the paperwork that needs to be done, all the organization that needs to be done is all dealt with. And also it also depends with the nature and the death of the person who passed away, because there are sometimes where there are traumatic deaths, and that can have complications with it. So it becomes there's what we call like complicated grieving, because it's not that straightforward. It's a lot of difficult things for people to go through, but it's something that I would encourage people to try and seek it, not to suffer in silence, because people think I'll be fine. When they're busy running around doing different things, they think they are okay. But then it's when all that has been done, then you try to settle down. And as you see, when everybody goes back to do their own thing, you're left with what, dealing and coping with the loss. And that's when, it would be advisable for people to seek. And there is no harm in asking for help, because we may think we are strong, but yes, we can be strong, but we are all human. There are times when we really need to, ask for help, and
Yes.
it's always advisable that people do that.
Yes, I agree. And we've got a kind of strange situation at the moment with lockdown. I know we're coming out of it now, but I've been personally affected by this, where we've had a funeral and not been able to attend. A very tragic death, not COVID related. It doesn't have to be, but a tragic death where nobody was able to attend. We weren't able to comfort the close immediate family physically, or only from a distance. So all of that makes everything much more complicated. And I can imagine that you're going to be helping people through those sorts of circumstances in the next few months and so on.
Yes, as I say, yes, loss is part of life, and people die as time goes by with life, but as I say, currently the situation we are in, things are totally different from what we've experienced in the past. So there will be a lot of people needing a lot of help out there.
Yes. And what about the trauma that we are seeing now, of isolation and fear, and the fear of the unknown, the kind of lack of consistency in information that we are being given, parents worried about their children and should they send them to school and shouldn't they, children not able to fulfill their education, the end of their educational needs. And we've got now coming up, do I go to university or not? All of these things come under your umbrella too, really, don't they?
Yes, you're right, in the sense that people will be more worried and more anxious on what to do, the decision they are making, and it will, and they normally say that, normally after a pandemic, the follow-up is a lot of, high rates of mental health issues, because life is not the same as what people used to do before, and people will have to think before they make any decisions. So it will be a challenging time for pretty much everyone, because even if, as therapists, you might be overwhelmed with a lot of people wanting your help, and also trying to help people to adjust to the new normal, as we'll soon find out what it is as time goes by. And it's just, most of the thing is like finding, I would advising people to find, like, seek information in reputable sources, not to just go for everything that is being posted everywhere on the media, but to just, and also be sensible and realistic. You can make your own decision, because your situation better than anybody else. And it's just one of those things that, yes, the level of anxiety and fear, it's one of those things that will be affecting a lot of people, especially, sending school, or even young people moving on with their life and wondering what's next.
I think that's very important, because one of the things, taking that responsibility and empowering people to make that choice to seek help is really important from my point of perspective, because if we are in a situation now where we are being disempowered, decisions are being made for us all the time. And although in some senses that feels for now comfortable, actually in the long term, I'm not convinced that that's actually where we want to be in the future, and that certainly that wouldn't be the new norm that I would want to participate in, that kind of level of control and giving my power away. And so helping people to re-establish their own sense of what's right and wrong, making their own decisions, trusting their gut. I can see that's going to, play a big part in moving forward, as you say, from this pandemic.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because as I say, once people are empowered, they can, hear what's being said out there, but also at the end of the day, then they can, they can say, okay, as for me, this is what I'm going to do, because this is what affects my life, and this is how I'm going to go about it. Not to feel that they have to wait and depend to be told, go out, do this, do that, don't do that,
Yeah. Okay, well that's brilliant, and I've learned so much more about who you help and how you help them. I know that you're doing things over Zoom and Skype and all those sorts of things, and actually that's working really well for your clients, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, for the at the moment, it's just doing video calls, and at least now the clients being to see me are being to see their face to face. So it's face to face, but not in front, as in, in the same room, but using the video calls. And that's been helpful because it removes the restriction of where the client group can be, so you can work with anyone, any parts of the world really well, before you had to physically travel somewhere else. So that has helped a lot of
So
people.
this is your new norm, Wanjiru, isn't it?
Yeah, and I am getting used to the new normal, so that it's just
Yeah.
one of those things that, yes, with the technology, it's been possible to help people,
There are
from the
lots of
comfort of
positives,
their
I
home.
think.
Yes.
Yeah, lots
Yes.
and lots of positives, and that's really what the message that I'm
Yes.
sure you will be giving to people as well, is that it's about adapting, being resilient.
Exactly. Yes.
Those kinds of things. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Finding a way out, even if there's things happening around you, there's always a way out somehow. But you've got to find it. You've got to look for it. It won't find you. You've got to find
Yeah.
it somehow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Wanjiru, and very good luck. I know that you're going to be even busier coming up, sadly, but I do hope that this message has given people the opportunity to feel more comfortable to reach out to you, just to know that they're not alone, and that actually there's no shame in it.
That's true. That's true. And as I say, I'm here to help, hopefully make a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah.
And they can move on, or move with whatever they are going through. But
Yes, that's a really nice way of putting it. Move with whatever's going. So I will put your website in the show notes and on this video, to make sure that people can find you and connect with you.
Okay, yeah, and I forgot to say, I call myself Simply Talking Therapy, because I believe in just talking, because by talking people resolve a lot of things, and by not talking a lot of things go wrong.
Yes. So, hence the name. Lovely name. I get that completely. Yes. Okay, thank you very much, and I very much look forward to seeing you the next time that we're physically in the room together.
Yes, hope it's soon. Thank you, Jill.